I'll be sharing again now. Okay, so you should all get my PowerPoint screen any second now. Okay. I'm recording so that I can put the video available to you guys so that when you've forgotten everything that I've said, you can just go to the video, because I'll not be here next week, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the list, we've got layouts and styles. So I'm just going to switch across to PowerPoint editing view. Now we can see on the left-hand side the 4 slides that I've got available at this point in time, yeah? And in the top of the page, you will see something which is known as the ribbon. So when I refer to the ribbon, I mean these buttons that appear here, yeah? So currently I'm in slideshow, and I'm showing off how to project a slideshow. But I'm going to go to design and show you that in design there's some straightforward themes that you can choose from straight away to get you rolling with your design. So for instance, I could click on that green button there, and everything, all my slides change based on that. Now, it doesn't work necessarily that well because I've been fiddling with my master slides. But let's go back to the one I had to start off with. I can also play with the colours, so I can change the colours of a style. So for instance, maybe I want to change it to the grayscale style. Everything goes to grey. Composite, concourse, contour. So if that isn't enough, you can edit your styles in your master page. So in this design view, it should be pretty much everything you need to use, really, because you've got control over the fonts that are used. So for instance, currently I'm using Calibri setup. I can maybe go to Cambria, which is agency in Cambria, Franklin Gothic. So all these different styles are available to you. So you can customize relatively easily from the off without much need for understanding the in-depth side of things. But if you want to make some more specific changes, I could go to View and then click on Slide Master. What that allows me to see is the style sheet for the whole document. So every page is described here by one of these slides. So that describes a layout like this. That describes a layout like that. This describes mainly the overarching style. So you can see that's how I've got my logo in there. Well, the college logo, sorry. That is where, for instance, I can change the style of specific elements. So, for example, I could change that from Kandara heading down to, say, Cambria. And that will filter through to certain styles. But at some of them you have to do individual pages. But for example, I might decide that what I want to do is to change these drawn elements here. So I'm just going to choose this bit here, go to Drawing Tools, and then change the shape fill to be a kind of yellow colour or a blue. Doesn't work that well on the bottom one though. It's better if that's white and you do the top one. And notice how that changes, that filters through to most of the slides that have got that kind of style at the top of the page. So that's most of them. Not necessarily the best colour in the world, but I'll leave that to you to decide. So I'm just going to undo that move and leave it at green. Close the master view, and it goes back into the main view, and you'll notice that my titles have now changed to that typeface. Obviously, when you're working with a slideshow, you can change anything individually, independently, but it's good to have a style to start off with that defines the way that everything really looks, and sticking to that style is a good thing. You should only really break from it for emphasis, to emphasize something. So in a professional presentation, I would expect you to have some kind of consistent style. Now, I'm not saying you can't be creative. You can go into the slide master and come up with your, from a blank slide, an entirely brand new style, using images as background images, positioning elements wherever you want. And that's a slightly more advanced technique. And you might, do yourself a favor and give you a chance of getting a higher grades with that. But if you use a style that PowerPoint has, there's no reason why you can't still achieve merits and distinctions. They're there for that purpose. You can use them as a starting point and customize them a little bit. Okay, so you might come up with a company logo for your pitch and put that in there so it's on every side, maybe bottom right hand corner or something. Okay, so I'm just going to insert on the right hand side of on the left hand side of the page. If you right click, you will see a submenu comes up. Most of you will be used to this, I assume, and you normally insert a new slide. But when you right click that slide again, you can choose some layout and choose a type of slide that you want to use. So I might, for instance, want to put in to content. And in that to content, I might want to put a title. And then I might want to put a description. Short description of the content. And then I may wish to put some images on that slide in the second box. So I might just insert a picture. I'll put a picture of a Wii U controller. That seems appropriate. And that automatically goes into that box. Yep. What if I don't necessarily want to just have that one image? I could cut that out and paste it outside of the box. The way that I did that was I changed the focus. So I cut it, I clicked somewhere off the slide, and then paste in again, like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some more images first. So I should have some more stuff like that, I guess. Yep, one there. I'm going to do the same with that one. Put it out. Paste it over here. I'm going to put them next to each other like this. Then using the Shift key and select by clicking, what I'm doing is I've highlighted them both at the same time. So you should see that I've got transform points on both images. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to group them together. So that's now one image. Now this might not necessarily be the layout that I want to use that kind of wide image in. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to cut that and paste it inside of here. And choose picture. So it becomes a picture. And so that's a simple way of editing images together in PowerPoint without the need of having to do it, say, in Photoshop. So for some simplistic stuff, you can just bring an image in and do some basic.
What was that about insert or box? I didn't understand what you did.
Basically, I've got two pictures, I've joined them together, and then I've put them into the...
How did you join them together?
Okay, I'll go through that again. I've selected them both at the same time. So I clicked on one, and then I held Shift and clicked on the other one. Then I right-clicked and chose Group, grouped them together, so now they're one image. Then I've cut them, and then I've tried to paste them in here, and I've pasted as picture where it goes paste options. So what it's doing is it's using the box that was there before to constrain where those images fit and how wide they are. Okay. So for inserting charts, it's a similar kind of thing really. I might duplicate this and then just get rid of that image. So you're going to be working with Excel. Okay. I'll just go find a table from somewhere. it's the screen. Okay, so in this spreadsheet, I happen to have here's one I made earlier, chart. And it's as simple as copying and pasting that chart. So I could Control and C, if I can't get the edit tools up to cut it. And click in here, paste, and therein goes the chart. I can still edit that chart, or the size of it anyway, in this document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that box completely, and I'm going to make this slightly bigger. And also make it wider. There we go. Some things I want you to notice about that is the size of the chart is important. And the size of the text inside of the chart is important. Because you're going to have people sat at the other end of the room who might not be able to see that. So I'm just going to take that to slideshow now. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, so now you can see the slideshow on this screen at the front. And the chart is big enough to be seen from the back of the room. And that's one of the key things I'll be looking for, is to make sure that you're emphasizing information in this way. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation in here. And in there, I can change some simple stuff such as border styles around it, shadows, things like that, just by double clicking on it. You can also edit the data. So once you put a chart into a PowerPoint presentation, I can click on edit data and it will take me to the file that's associated with that chart. Obviously, for that to work, if you were sending this kind of information, you would need the file to be available. So you would send like a folder structure, a zip. But in a presentation scenario, you would have the spreadsheet and the PowerPoint in maybe the same folder so that they knew the relationship between each other and they knew where each other was. So I could change chart type, for example, and decide actually I want to explode it. And click OK. And that allows me to see the segments. And then I'll save that. It sometimes takes a bit of time to come through, so we'll just ignore them. Committing to the changes there at the moment. Okay, so that's charts. Adding documents. Now, you're giving a pitch. So it might be an idea to have your written report, your written pitch, in with the presentation. Because it might be that you go and give a presentation and they ask if they can keep the files, to review them afterwards. People aren't going to hand over millions of pounds just willy-nilly, are they? They might want to do a little bit of further research, further reading. So, I usually put those kind of things on my first page, to be honest. And the way you do this is you go to Insert, Object. So you can insert anything pretty much. And the way that it handles it depends on these options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create from File. I'm not sure what I've got in the way of a pitch, but I'll just find any old PDF that's in here. Or a Word document even. Okay. Right, that'll be the closest thing I've got to a pitch. So I click OK, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Display as Icon. You can also click Link, but Link only works if you are sending a separate file with the point. Whereas if it's not linked, what it does is it embeds it. You can change the icon if you want. So I might have a big one like this. Okay. what does it? It puts it in the page for me. So I might just put that down here. Then, anytime one wants to read that, they just double click on it, and it will open up the Word document. Not very exciting. It's just a group, just a list of names in my filming group. As simple as that. So that is inserting a document. You can do that with PDFs. You could do that perhaps to create a slideshow. Say, for instance, you create a PDF of a load of images that are related to your project that you don't necessarily have to put millions of slides in. One of the most important things when you give a presentation is that it's kind of concise and succinct and to the point. So in that vein, transitions and animations are usually people's favourite point, to be honest. Use transitions kind of sparingly. Try not to be too adventurous in that if you pick one or two, stick to those transitions rather than using every single transition in the book. It becomes disorientating for the audience. But if I was to select a slide, say for instance this one, and then go to transitions at the top above the ribbon, you can choose from different types of transitions between pages to varying degrees. You sort simplistic push ones. So if I'm going to put the push in, you see how it pushes the page that was there up. My personal favourite is honeycomb, quite like this one. That's very disorientating. Some people quite like cube. So it's just as simple as that. You select the slide and then you select the transition, and it's the transition coming in to that slide. So it's not the transition leaving. So if I just test that out on the board, okay, there we go. Let's go back one. And if you're consistent with your transitions and you keep them pretty simple, it just adds something to it rather than making it overly confusing. So then we've got animation. Now the point of animation is it's to emphasize. So the best way to use it is to present information bit by bit by bit. So don't have a slide that's got everything on it all at once, because it's there to reinforce what you're saying. So for example, on this slide, it's blank, and then I start talking about key points, and as I say key points, I maybe put key points up on the board. And then I might start talking about images, so I talk about images and I put that up on the board. And then I talk about animation, which is what we're on about now, and animation should only really be used for emphasis. So the first thing is revealing information as you're going on. The second part is to emphasize points. So I might decide that actually what I want to do is at that point I then want to talk in emphasis about images and the importance of images and the importance about making things visual. So I highlight that word, I go to animations, and I'm going to put an emphasis on. I'll put grow shrink on. So that grows out like that. And that's set to do on click. So let's see how that goes now. And it emphasizes it like that. So images sticks out. Press the key again and obviously the slide disappears. So if you use your animations to emphasize information, there's other ways you could do it. For example, I could create a list that comes in automatically. So currently on this page, if I view the animation pin, so I've got 4 points here, and all of them start on click. The way I know that is because I click on this drop down menu and it says start on click, and that's highlighted by this little thing here. But I might want to set the rest of them to start after previous or with previous. If I start after previous, what I'm doing is I'm setting up a time amount. I can then right click and change the timing and say, for example, I want the delay to be 2 seconds and I want the duration to be medium. okay, and that affects my timeline. So now, when I look at that slide, I click once. Oops. So I've got it on slow. It's probably a little slow, but if you imagine you're talking at the same time and how much time you need to speak between those different bullet points, you would probably need a second or two at least between each thing. So that's the autopilot way of doing it. You press the button once, you talk, the information comes up, your timing's roughly around the right kind of level, it should be able to work out fine. So the last thing I wanted to show you was presenter view. So the presentation view is how you're seeing it now, the way that I'm looking at it. I'm just going to close that down for a second. This only works when you've got more than one monitor connected. But when you give a presentation, you've nearly always got a computer and a projector or a TV screen. So in the slideshow part of the ribbon, you will see on the right hand side, this is usually grayed out, so it'll be grayed out for you at the moment on your version. The choice between resolution and a choice between show on which. So if I've got two monitors, I can set it to show on second monitor and I can use presenter view. With that checked, when I click on slideshow, what I get on my laptop is what you're seeing, and what the audience gets is what's on the big screen here. Like that. How is that useful? Well, I'll tell you why it's useful, because this side point here, if I've got any notes at the bottom of the page, okay, my notes, this will help me remember what I am going to say. And there are my notes. I'm pretty sure you can change the font size for presenter view in your settings, and that'll come under preferences, so you can actually read it. When you're giving your presentations, Harvey's got a laptop, so she will be set up like this, and when I do my presentations with you, the laptop's set up like this. So you can plan to use it in this way. That should be one more little thing that helps you speak to the audience and use your notes and what's in front of you to guide the presentation. And that would be the end of this presentation, and time for you to move on. So what I'm going to do now